Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we're talking all things AEW All Out. We've got a new international champion, got all your results. But first, the saga of CM Punk's firing from AEW continues. And Larson, I get the feeling that what we heard tonight, what we read tonight, and yesterday via the Wrestling Observer Radio and Cassidy Haynes reporting on another incident that had previously not been reported on, might be the tip of the iceberg.
I mean,
Wouldn't
if
shock me if
to
that
be
was the
believed, this seems to be the case. So let's go back to this morning. So yesterday, Saturday, it was announced by AEW that the company had fired CM Punk. So Sports Illustrated earlier today had some additional details about his dismissal. That's what they had to say. Quote, Punk was not dismissed solely because of his backstage altercation with Jack Perry last week in London All In, though that did not help his cause. His firing came after Khan felt physically threatened by Punk at All In during his attempt to get Punk refocused on the match. Unlike prior occasions, Khan was not able to effectively communicate or reason with Punk, and eyewitness accounts supporting Khan's claim further ended any chance that Punk would return to AEW. Continues on. It's by no means the end of Phil Brooks as CM Punk. Sources close to both sides expect a response from Punk, which holds potential to be explosive. It is disappointing that after so much promise just 2 years ago, their relationship ends in such a disjointed manner. So, you know, while we were doing our watch along with All Out tonight, we were wondering if CM Punk would take to Instagram, to social media, issue a statement somehow to kind of give his side of things. As far as I know, that didn't happen. I didn't see anything about it.
Yeah, I don't believe that's happened either. I mean, you have to wonder what outlet or venue is he going to go to? And to be honest with you, like, we have no idea what kind of legal agreement there was between Punk and AEW, if any non-disparagement agreement would continue after his termination. I mean, I'm not a legal guy, so I can't speak on that. I don't know if that's a possibility or not. I mean, I've never heard of that before, but it's certainly possible. But yeah, I think it'd be very unlike Punk to just sort of keep quiet. At some point, he's going to say something about this stuff.
Doesn't seem to be his MO, does it? To keep quiet.
Not really.
Not really. So Meltzer and Alvarez discussed all this and much more on last night's Wrestling Observer Radio. Here's a couple of things that they mentioned. Meltzer said that while Punk got fired over the All-In incident, there is, quote, so much more to it that hasn't come out, which maybe we'll talk about another incident later, that contributed to the decision, indicating more news to come. Additionally, Meltzer also said that Meltzer himself, was, quote, far too kind in his reporting in this week's newsletter about Punk lunging in Khan's direction. He's saying, if you saw the actual wording of what was said, lunging was, I was toning it down. It was more than lunging.
Yeah. You know, people can have their opinions about Dave Meltzer, and obviously he's close with the elite. They have a whole move named after him. But I don't know. I sort of get the feeling that, especially with what we're about to talk about, he's probably like, I sort of take his words at face value, what he's saying. There's probably a lot that like wasn't reported on. There's probably just more stuff out there. I mean, I kind of feel like there's no way this could have been an isolated incident.
No.
So Wade Keller had more, these details, from PW Torch audio show. These transcripts come to you via wrestlingnews.co. It says, my understanding is that there was something behind a closed door also that may come out or may not, depending on how all this plays out. When Punk quit and chewed out Tony, there was an element of that was not in front of dozens of people that others have said they're trying to get confirmation on, but I'm confident in based on my sourcing, which I won't get into. I think there's other elements of it than just the monitors. So like, there's talks that like part of the lunging was like knocked over some monitors. And now Wade Keller is saying that might have been more to that. I mean, regardless of who's reporting it and even from which side it's being reported on, or from whose perspective. I mean, it sounds like there was more to this than what the reporting would, what sort of the surface level reporting would have you believe.
Yeah. Also, tonight, I didn't notice it was before or during All Out. Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net reported that Punk had an altercation going all the way back to early 2022 with William Regal at Regal's AEW debut, is what Cassidy Haynes had to say. Quote, multiple sources have confirmed to me details about an incident that took place between CM Punk and William Regal, which took place when Regal made his AEW debut. In the altercation between the two men, Punk refused to shake Regal's hand and then would then get in the legend's face, telling him that he did not like him, did not trust him, and that Regal was, quote, a stooge for Triple H.
If true, that was apparently, was it Revolution 2022?
Yeah.
Which was when Regal debuted?
Yeah.
That's going back a long ways.
6 months before Brawl Out.
And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I say there's going to be more stuff. Like, that's just sort of seems kind of obvious. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I have no idea. Like, this is going to be, I suspect, months, if not years, of things being fired both ways.
Yep.
Punk fired AEW firing back. I also kind of suspect that if WWE had wanted anything to do with CM Punk, they would want to see, because right now, WWE, they can, I was texting Dope about this the other night. Everything they do is based on what's happening on their programming. Mm-hmm. Nobody goes off script. Nobody goes out there with a mic and shoots on random ass people that they might not like backstage.
Yep.
Or perceived slights. Yep. That element doesn't exist in WWE. They keep their storytelling to what is good. They're a finely tuned, at this point, under Triple H. They seem to be a pretty well run machine. And they don't like loose cannons.
No,
I simply do not see him. Like, Brock is sort of the closest thing they have to like a loose cannon, but I say that, and it's not even close compared to CM Punk.
No.
But Brock can kind of do what Brock wants to do, is my point.
Yeah.
And not really a whole lot of, when Vince got fired that time, he walked out, they were able to bring him back. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. He's got enough stroke to do that. But even once he's on TV, he keeps to what's going on TV.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Unless someone throws a wayward knee his direction.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see, how ugly this gets. Honestly, I hope it doesn't.
I hope so too.
Because I'm sort of tight. Look, man, I'm cool with the views and everything, but like at a certain point, I look at our YouTube channel and people are talking about this because it drops every day. So then we talk about it. That's sort of our thing.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of sick of seeing his face in our thumbnails.
Yeah. It gets tiresome talking about various facets of the same thing.
I think there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight with All Out, but
agree.
This is going to be a topic of conversation that, if we didn't talk about it, we'd be asked about it endlessly, and that's just what it is.
Exactly. It's the state of things, exactly. And, it's entirely possible, starting with this Regal story, it's going to be the floodgates of stories of CM Punk acting unprofessional, kind of being a jerk backstage. And then, it can get real ugly if CM Punk decides, all right, I need to respond, save face, to at least have the perception, at least amongst my fans, that I'm not a complete, jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get shots fired back and forth.
Yeah.
And it'll create headlines. It'll create, people are going to talk about it, but it's going to get tiresome. It's going to get exhausting. It's going to get potentially pretty damn negative.
Yeah.
And, there's an upper limit to that. Whereas at a certain point, this is like, all right, I might do well for the channel, but tired of talking about it. We reached that point. Gosh, when was it? Early this year?
Mm-hmm.
When there was like just seemingly every day, is Punk going to come back? Is there going to be a buyout? And at a certain point, there was a news story. I remember this. I was like, should we even bother doing this? And we were both like, no. We're done with it for now. We're done with it.
Yeah. I remember that. Humble85 here in the YouTube chat. Says, wouldn't put it past, it says, WWE is a well-oiled machine, but I wouldn't put it past WWE to bring Punk to have leverage in the TV deal negotiations. See, I do kind of feel like we're in a different era with WWE though. Like every report is this is the highest attended, highest grossing, highest selling Raw. This is the highest SmackDown in this location. This is the highest this, the highest that. And the ratings are really good right now.
They are.
They're really good. I feel like they have all the leverage. And if you introduce somebody who could be a disruptive influence to that, because it could go in a bad direction. I mean, one thing Meltzer notes in the Wrestling Observer report or the radio was the rating situation where Collision had that huge bump that one week because MJF and Cole were there.
Yeah.
But then the following week when they weren't there, but Punk was, it sank right back down to like under 500,000.
Yeah.
So he's not like they have people who are buying into AEW right now that are draws. Adam Cole and MJF are doing terrific work, and they're the anchor of the programming. Tonight, I thought they made a good move in putting that international title on Mox. We're going to talk about that in a second. Just to put a capper on the CM Punk stuff, though, I just don't know that WWE is in a position that they need him.
No,
or even want to risk what he could negatively do.
No, I wouldn't think so. I think seeing this incident where he is been away from the industry for 7 years, is in maybe the best situation you would think for him. He gets creative freedom. He gets a chance to do the things he really wants to do. Like, how could this go bad for him? And yet it did. You see with Collision how beyond the initial few weeks and a handful of episodes, ratings were not that great. Like, I know Tony Khan was going on about Punk being his plus delta, and I'm sure there's other metrics that might back that up. But you look at the Collision numbers, that ain't it. That's not the criteria you want to put forth in front of anybody to say this guy's a draw for my company, because it wasn't really showing.
No, and on top of that, like, we're not even at, like, I know college football, see, they're starting very shortly, has already started, but like there's about to be, and it's going to be interesting to see. But even if you smoke 50,000 off that overall viewership, it's not a pretty number. And
you just talk about 400,000.
And Punk at a certain point, it's just not. He's not a big deal anymore. Maybe they should have approached him differently and said, "Hey, can you do stints? Like, we have 4 major pay-per-views a year. Work those and a month before, so that you're a special attraction." But to do the whole like brand split, which evidently now is going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that here in a second.
The Young Bucks were on Collision last night. So
the Bucks are on Collision. Quick programming note: we're not going to be doing a show tomorrow. We'll be back on Tuesday for our Raw review, but it's Labor Day. We've had these 2 pay-per-views in a row on Saturday and Sunday, so we're going to take the day to ourselves.
Indeed.
So yeah, let's talk about really briefly, well, not briefly, the rest of our
some
show.
all-out highlights. Yeah, we can talk some all-out highlights before
so
we get
let's
to the
talk about
match breakdown.
Talk about that main event. The decision to put the international title, a title that's been really built up in spectacular fashion by Orange Cassidy. They Taz called it the workhorse title tonight.
It's the Intercontinental Championship of AEW at this point, yes.
It's the traditional Intercontinental Championship. Well, back to what it is now with Gunther.
Yeah.
I think this is a really smart move because in MJF you've got essentially, I mean, I know he had a career prior to AEW, I get that, but a guy who really sunk his teeth into AEW. They recognized what he brought, but MJF, he's the world champion now. He's involved in a story with Adam Cole. They're about to do this eliminator tournament where whoever wins that gets a shot at him. Mm-hmm. But he's also not a former WWE main event guy. Mox is, I don't know if he ever main event in WrestleMania, but he's a he is definitely a WrestleMania main event level guy. Like, if he went back tomorrow, he could be shoved in the main event of WrestleMania. He was their world champion for a long time, blah, blah, blah. He's up there with the Danielson. He's up there with the Jericho. Now he's the international champion. Do you think this is going to be like a 1A world title, 1B world title, replacing what CM Punk, a former WWE WrestleMania, wanted to be main eventer, never was, with the real world's championship? Do you think that the international championship is going to be treated that way?
It could be if you have MJF. I know the soft brand split's probably is a thing of the past, reportedly. But if you more or less have MJF on Dynamite for the most part, there was talk tonight, I think Sean Ross Sapp tweeted it out about Danielson being a featured player on Collision. Maybe the entirety of the Blackpool Combat Club moves over to Collision with Mox for that international title. So you have kind of like in New Japan before they merged the titles, you have the world title, you have the Intercontinental title. They're 1A, 1B. That's a possibility from a marketing perspective. From a notoriety perspective, it makes sense to put the title on Mox. I just thought, really, the whole reason I thought they were going to have Orange Cassidy win is just to give the crowd at Chicago a feel-good moment since Phil's not going to be there. But if we've learned anything over the last couple of weeks with changes being made to shows, if they have a story direction in mind right now, they're just going to go through with it, whether it's going to be the feel-good moment or not in AEW.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at what happened tonight, and I know like it's a Chicago crowd, so it's a little bit different. But the last 3 matches, we were making a joke about this during the stream. You know, it seemed like, you know, the second to last 2 matches was bad guy wins. And then the last match, you'd have figured good guy's going to win. And I thought that this was going to be sort of validation for Orange Cassidy. Like, okay, you've done such a great job. You're going to beat Mox now and sort of make you to that level.
Yes.
And that is not to say that Orange Cassidy has no, claim to being at that level. Yeah. I think that he, especially in the last week or so with that awesome promo that he delivered on Dynamite, I think he proved that he can have a lot more depth. He's done a good job at keeping his character fresh somehow, even though he's been doing basically the same thing for 4 years, but he's been keeping it fresh. The matches are always interesting. Yeah. And he just hasn't, to me, he hasn't really gotten stale.
No. Especially during this, the last few weeks with his run with the international title. It's even the last couple of months. There's been matches where he's been desperate. He had to, resort to desperate measures to get wins.
He's been kind of cheaty sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really had to prove his mettle and gut out victories. And it's not so much leaning on the comedy stuff, which, he still implements in his matches usually in really creative ways. It's developing him as a competitor.
Yeah.
Not as a comedy guy.
Right. Yeah.
So he could be a comedy guy, but still be a competitor you take seriously.
Yeah. And, but they went the other way. And I think it seems kind of clear. I got a hair off my mic here. That the international title might be now within the hands of Mox, a former AEW world champion. It's going to be sort of the 1B title where, you can argue, you can do Mox at the top of a pay-per-view. If that's necessary. He's an instant main event guy. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they reshuffle the deck. I like this Miro Hobbs thing they've got going. Lana, formerly known as Lana, CJ, his wife, the flexible wife, debuted for AEW tonight at the end of their match. Hobbs got in the last word by attacking Miro. And so I hope that this continues. I hope they become a team, although it doesn't really seem like that's heading in that direction at this point. Knows? But that was a phenomenal match. And let's talk about, in a broader sense, All Out. We had reservations once we saw what the card was going to look like, sort of as of Dynamite when a lot of this stuff was being set up. The Ring of Honor tag titles on the line when it's one of your major pay-per-views and you have MJF there. A weird decision, especially when they opened the show.
Yeah, but I see it in terms of the story they're trying to tell with MJF, where MJF, after his match with Adam Cole All In, he's like, oh, my neck's all jacked up. I'm taking some time off. I don't really want to do this match anyways, but we'll do it. Defend the titles tonight. And they did, a spot we've seen in WWE countless times where someone's hurt, they take him to the back only to, have the heroic return to the ring and ultimately lead his team to victory. But it also plays into Adam Cole's continued desire to beat MJF for that AEW title. And there's a spot towards the end of their match where MJF is in the ring and Adam Cole does nothing to help him. Where MJF is Joe is in there, he's choking him out. Samoa Joe.
Yeah, they did this angle where Joe comes out for his match as Cole and MJF are leaving. Joe checks MJF and
shows him like he did in NXT years ago.
Yeah, right. And then MJF runs in there to try to attack him. Joe gets the upper hand, but Cole's just like, "Hey, refs, come down here and help him out." It's like you got a 2-on-1 situation here. Yeah,
I know. But from Cole's perspective, if this is all just him playing MJF and soften him up, so next time they have a match, Cole's more likely to win, it's played into the story between the two of them.
Yeah.
So I get why they have the title match, the tag title match, as opposed to MJF defending the title. I get it.
Yeah. From a wider perspective, though, watching these, I mean, I get they did the story, but that story beat could have been done any number of other places. I guess my point is they have the world champion. And I think that also sort of shows like they want the international title to be a big deal. And so you sort of downplay the world champion, which I don't know. We'll see how that plays out in the long run. If Mox's run as international champion starts looking a lot more like a traditional world championship run and MJF is sort of in this Adam Cole stuff, I don't know what that means for the prestige or how the perception is going to be for the world title. But I guess that remains to be seen. But like just the card in general, the build was not great for it. No. All in was the pay-per-view of their week.
Yeah.
And this felt a little bit more like a Fallout situation that perhaps set some stuff up and added some story beats. But a lot of this stuff really could have been on Dynamite or Collision. There were some excellent matches.
Yeah.
There were some absolutely excellent matches.
Let's talk about what I would say is match of the night, and I'm guessing you would agree, is Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks in a hastily put together strap match.
This
we didn't
was
think Bryan
amazing.
Danielson was going to return for another month.
Yeah.
And this was just spectacular pro wrestling violence at its best.
It really was. And you can tell why maybe he was confident in coming back in a match like this, because it really didn't have much to do with, I mean, look, it's a pro wrestling match. You're always going to be, at risk of, hurting yourself.
Injury,
but,
yeah.
But this was a different kind of pro wrestling match where it was just like, let's just beat the shit at each other with a strap, which isn't going to do any structural damage, but God damn, it sounds good. You know, like it, and it looks great afterwards when you have all these like welts on you, and they were like hitting each other with a strap in their faces. Like, oh my God. Yeah, that match was bloody. It was awesome. Had a great finish. Made Ricky Starks look like $1 million.
Yep.
And I really hope, my one thing about Punk leaving is that we were seeing the creative on Collision. I actually really appreciated what they were doing.
Yeah,
the
I
old
appreciate
school
a lot of it
feel
too.
to it. Yeah. Where and I hope that Punk's firing isn't going to negatively affect that too much. Now, Tony Khan says he loves Bryan Danielson, and evidently he's going to be heavily involved in that. He still have FTR there. I would imagine they've had a say in that as well. So I'm hoping that Collision keeps that feel that it has, and we still see the people there featured that are featured.
Definitely. I hope so too. And we assume that Punk wielded a lot of influence on Collision, and assume, maybe correctly, maybe not, that his influence led to that creative direction. But we don't know. I mean, it could be Bryan Danielson. Apparently, he's had a heavy hand in the creative for Collision as well. They brought in some other people over the last few months to help on the creative side of things. So it remains to be seen if we see some abrupt and obvious changes where Collision's looking like Dynamite Light. Then we know, all right, CM Punk deserves the credit for those changes in a positive direction. So it remains to be seen. We'll see. We'll see in the coming weeks.
A lot of people in our chat are pointing out correctly as well that in wrestling universe, Cole is terrified of Samoa Joe because of him choking him out back in the NXT days.
That's correct.
So that's a good thing that he can go to. I mean, they both have, some history with Joe and NXT.
Yeah.
Even if MJF's is in these days celebrated in gift form.
Yeah. I can't wait if they're doing MJF Samoa Joe, a program between the two of them. I can't wait.
That's going to be amazing. That's going to be phenomenal. That's the kind of thing that you really need with this world title reign at this point. Now that you've focused on Cole so much, is those top level guys that you think, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Before we continue on with our AEW All Out recap, Larson, would you like to pay some bills?
Let's do it. Hey,
right.
Steve.
Hey,
can you believe we've had 7 months? 7 months without an NFL game. It's wild. It's crazy, isn't it?
Crazy.
Well, good thing it's over. NFL is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving you a can't-miss offer for Week 1.
This week, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on any NFL game. And DraftKings is hooking everyone up with some game day greatness. Get this, Larson. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every single game day this September. Check the app to see what you get.
So, download DraftKings Sportsbook and use code RAW to sign up. New customers can take home $200 in bonus bets instantly just for betting $5. That's code RAW only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours.
Ooh. Anyways, it kicked off with that Ring of Honor tag title match that we mentioned. Dark Order, who won the thing on Rampage.
Rampage Battle Royal.
Yeah, that's what it was. By the way, we did not watch the kickoff show tonight.
Yeah,
although
we
apparently
bypassed the kickoff show.
Hangman Adam Page was in a Battle Royal that he won.
Yeah, and we won $50,000 for charity with Chicago Public Schools Fund or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. So that's cool.
Page, former teacher. Makes sense.
Makes total sense. It's all, in canon. So yeah, Dark Order versus MJF and Adam Cole. Dark Order being the bad guys here. And MJF having some early issues with his neck.
Yeah, especially after Alex Reynolds blasts him with a chair in the neck.
That'll do it. He targeted him because MJF had previously been dropped on his neck, in his words, about 6 times. In that,
and not to mention match. MJF walked to the ring basically doing this, holding his neck.
Yeah, right. So he didn't exactly, help his situation by not making a target out of his neck. Alex Reynolds takes a chair to the back of his neck. The refs and whatnot check on him. Adam Cole's forced to wrestle a bunch of the match by himself because MJF is forced to go to the back. MJF comes back because the Dark Order, playing big time bad guys, they do the kiss to Cole's cheeks, hit a double clothesline of their own. Cole kicks out of that. MJF comes back, the big Willis Reed spot there, gets on the apron, tags him in, goes on a run, calls for a kangaroo kick. The entire time he's holding his neck, by the way.
Yeah.
Hits a kangaroo kick on both Silver and Reynolds at the same time. Cole and MJF are about to call for a double clothesline. Uno gets up on the apron. Cole kicks him off, and then they hit the double Clizliz to get the win. MJF walks up the ramp. He's in super neck pain here. Joe comes out. Big smile on his face as he shoves MJF the way he did in NXT. And he just keeps on walking, and Cole's like, what the hell? He goes running up to MJF. He's like, don't do anything. Don't do anything. You can't afford it right now. Your neck's all messed up. He cares about his neck health. And then MJF goes running up there, attacks Joe. Joe chokes the shit out of him while Cole just watches, and he's like trying to get refs and producers out to break it up, but he does not help.
He doesn't intervene whatsoever.
Yep.
Not at all. So then after that's broken up, we get right into Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor for the Ring of Honor TV title. Really good physical bout.
Yeah, this is awesome.
A good showcase for Shane Taylor. Hopefully we get to see him more on AEW television because he's really, really good. At one point, Shane Taylor lays out Joe with a huge clothesline. Joe rolls the apron. So Taylor looks to suplex him back in the ring, but Joe locks on a clutch. But then Shane Taylor elevates Joe and kind of hits like a draping stunner off the top rope. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Follows with a splash off the top, gets two there. And then they trade a bunch of blows. Joe's hit some elbows. Shane hits a huge right hand, some more punches. And then Joe just unloaded a bunch of forearms, a bunch of knees, locks on the clutch, and Shane taps.
That's right. Yeah. No, it was a great showcase for Shane Taylor. I haven't seen him on AEW TVs and Ring of Honor. This is just really looked like one of those matches that hurts. I love those kind of matches.
Yeah. Yep.
After that, we had Darby Allin hanging out with Nick Wayne as he took on Luchasaurus and Christian for that TNT title. He took on Luchasaurus. Christian was out there being hilarious, trolling the shit out of Nick Wayne. He had a white towel at one point because Luchasaurus had Darby up in the torture rack, and he was like, here, take the white towel and throw it in.
Yeah, throw it in.
Yeah,
Darby,
this is good stuff.
As expected, has got the absolute shit beat out of him.
I love whenever Darby has a big man match.
Yeah.
Because he does shit like he, tries to hit like a drop kick off the top and just bounces off the person.
Exactly.
And that's what happened here with Luchasaurus.
And Luchasaurus just throwing them all around the ring. Down towards the finish, Darby's looking for a coffin splash, the springboard variety. Luchasaurus catches him, hits a massive German suplex, and locks on a torture rack. And that's when Christian gets in Nick Wayne's face and somehow gets a white towel and starts waving it, saying, hey, throw it in. Throw in the towel for your friend. But instead of throwing in the towel, Nick Wayne takes off his jacket. And as he does that, like he's about to throw down with Christian, Darby escapes the torture rack, yanks Luchasaurus to the top rope, and then wipes out Christian with a suicide dive. Goes up top looking for a coffin drop. Luchasaurus grabs it by the throat. Darby fights him off and hits a code red off the top. Luchasaurus kicks out. So Darby goes back up top for a coffin drop, but Christian just annihilates Nick Wayne with a chair in the back. And he's hovering over Nick Wayne, like threatening to do it again. It's enough to distract Darby. So Luchasaurus can yank Darby off the top, hit a tombstone, stand up, hits another tombstone, stand up, hits a snake eyes, and then a massive lariat in the back of Darby's head to get the win. Darby's just bleeding all over the place.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
So Christian gets in the ring and sets up for a concerto on Darby, while Luchasaurus makes Nick Wayne watch, and then Sean Spears and the infantry run to the ring to make the save.
That's right. That's right. And all the Sean Spears and the entire infantry, they all lost their dads as well. So hopefully Christian will. No, I'm joking. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. After that, we had, man, you know what? This match really, really got the crowd into this pay-per-view.
Yep.
It kind of saved it early on, too.
Yep.
Powerhouse Hobbs versus Miro, 15 minutes and 33 seconds of meat, slapping meat. This match was awesome. The crowd was huge into it. All sorts of meat puns being chanted by the crowd.
Yep.
This was just really phenomenal stuff. I loved it. They were doing the thing, the pay-per-view thing, where they were like hitting each other's finishes. Like Hobbs went for a game over. He tried to lock in a game over. Miro hits a spine buster. Man, this match was absolutely phenomenal, dude. This was great.
It really was. You know, since this feud started, I've been really hoping for them to take a direction, at least for the in-ring part of it. Something modeled after Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, their initial feud back in, 2016, 2017, whatever that was. Right. When the whole feud was them destroying stuff.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I thought it'd be awesome, whether whether it went to a draw or there was a winner, that the ringside area after this match just looked like it was completely decimated. Now it's table busted up, hunks of barricades strewn all over the ringside area. We didn't get that, but we got something pretty darn good instead. And the intensity was there. Physicality was most definitely there.
Yeah.
And as mentioned, I like they were hitting each other's finishes. And then so Hobbs hits Miro with a spine buster. Miro kicks out, and that's when Hobbs looks for a game over. Miro escapes. That's when he hits the spine buster. Follows with a game over, and Hobbs taps.
Mm-hmm.
So after the match is over, Hobbs gets up. He offers Miro his hand. And Miro shakes it, but they don't do, like a usual handshake. They do it Predator style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah. Dylan, what's the matter? CIA got you pushing too many pencils?
It was great. So then Miro turns to leave the ring. Hobbs lays him out from behind, starts choking him out. And that's when CJ Perry's music hits. She makes her way to the ring with a chair, blasts Hobbs in the back with it, and Hobbs just smiles and laughs.
He laughs.
Gets up.
Yeah.
And she takes another swing with the chair. Hobbs catches it, drops it. Well, that allows Miro an opportunity to pick up the chair and blast Hobbs with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he puts the chair down, realizes that CJ's there. And CJ smiles at him. And Miro just kind of circles her and then leaves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's not sure, what his loins are telling him, Larson. Eventually what they're going to say is, oh, man, time to get in there.
Her Tron, I think, says hot and flexible. So,
oh, man, she's very bendy. So Miro's going to say, hey, buddy, let's go do it. What's it going to take for Miro to fuck, Larson? That's a big question.
That is a huge question. I don't know. I mean, for a while, he needed gold. He needed a championship to bring home to her. But then he says, nope, I've forsaken that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Maybe if it has a trilogy with Hobbs and, Hobbs wins the next one.
Maybe he's off base about things. Maybe he thinks he needs to bring a title home to show that he's worthy of her love. Maybe what really the thing is, he needs her love to win championships.
Oh, wow. I think he sort of wrote himself out of championships because he was like, I don't need that. I'm on a war with God here. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Yeah, man. I don't. Oh, boy. Yeah, I don't know. I guess what I would love to see though is on the next Collision. I mentioned this during the stream. We get some vignettes where he flogs himself. Famously, that's what I think people who are in a religious situation and are not allowed, to
have
fuck.
devoted themselves to a life without knowing
Fuck.
carnal pleasures. Yes.
Right, yeah, without fuck.
Okay. Yeah, you can put it that way too.
They get the thing with the I think it might be called the flog. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoop-ah.
Yeah.
I just be like, now I'm in pain and horny. I don't know what that would do, but
Yeah, I don't know what that achieves either.
anyways, let's move on here. Next up, TBS Championship match. Ruby Soho finding new levels of vault with this ring gear of hers. Very impressive.
That jacket it was a great looking jacket. Sadly, based on wrestling tropes, if before you have won title and you have your gear emblazoned with said title, you're probably not winning that title. And that's what happened to Ruby here. She had her jacket, the back of her jacket, that she was already TBS champion.
A little presumptuous.
It is. Hubris is what it is.
She came to the ring with Saraya. Little did she know Toni Storm was already at the ring. She was under it, which was hilarious. So she comes down there with Saraya. I was like, oh, man, good opportunity here for the Outcast to pick up a lot of gold. And she had a really phenomenal match with Chris Statlander. At one point, she hits the the no future and the eat defeat or whatever they call.
Oh, it was off the top rope, too?
It was off the top rope, and then she hit
So
the
good.
Sister Abigail thing, which I forget what she calls that.
Destination Unknown.
That's the one. Thank you. So she hits all that shit in succession. Statlander kicks out of that stuff. And then, so both ladies are trading elbows. Ruby hits a poison rana and a tornado DDT, a rolling neck breaker for a close 2. Both women trade slaps on their knees before Chris hits a surprise blue thunder bomb for 2. Chris heads up to the top as Saraya gets up on the apron. Then Ruby, that's when she hits the no future destination
The
unknown.
Super No Future, yeah.
And then Statlander kicks out of that. Ruby grabs a spray paint because Saraya is distracting the ref. Toni Storm then rolls out from under the ring and runs
funny.
over to Ruby and steals the paint, starts sort of laughing and spraying it. And Ruby's like, what are you doing? And then before she knows it, she gets hit with a Sunday Night Fever from Statlander. Statlander retains the TBS title.
Yeah,
really
like
good match.
Tony was going up the ramp afterwards, really pleased with herself. Impressed that she managed to pull that off. But I love how she does this all the time.
I know, it's great. I know, yeah.
Like the gestures she does in this new character is so spot on.
It is so perfectly an homage to the Sunset Boulevard thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really great. Like everything, her promos, it's all great.
It's so good. It's all so good. Speaking of so good, strap match: Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks. Most of this match, 85% of it is them beating the hell out of each other with the strap, hit the back, across the chest, on the face, on the neck. Danielson gets busted open early because Ricky Starks is dominating the early portion of the match. Danielson eventually gets some stuff in. He just starts wailing away on Ricky with that strap. It was paced perfectly. Performances were off the charts.
Yeah,
especially down towards the finish when when Ricky's getting choked out was so good. But before we get to that, Big Bill appears.
Big Bill.
So he goes after Bryan. Steamboat's on commentary, so Steamboat leaves the booth and he goes after Big Bill, pulls him off the apron. So he hits him with a couple chops, and the Bill grabs him by the throat like he's about to choke slam him. Danielson takes him out with a suicide dive, or a crossbody, sorry, and then rolls Starks back in the ring, but runs into a spear. Danielson kicks out of that just barely. So Ricky's on top of him, laying some punches in, looks for a Rochambeau. Danielson escapes that, hits the knee plus, but gets a 2 count with that, and that's what Danielson declares. It's time to kick his fucking head in. So Danielson hits him. Danielson stomps, locks on a label lock. So Ricky is trying to wiggle out of it, and then eventually Bryan takes a huge hunk of strap, wraps it around Ricky's head a couple times, his neck, and really starts wrenching back. And Ricky did a hell of a job of selling, I'm getting choked out.
Yeah.
And they gave him the pass out finish. So he didn't tap out. And the image of him, screaming out in pain and making the realization that he's done for while he's got blood streaming down his face was just a fantastic performance by Ricky Starks.
The TV direction for the finish was awesome.
Yeah.
Because they did not deviate. They went straight to Ricky and let him perform.
Yep.
And like you said, every emotion on his face took us through the story of he wasn't going to win this one. He was defiant, thought he might have a chance, and then that realization, you see it on his face. Yep. Really, really wonderful performance here from Ricky Starks. Bryan Danielson coming back. Who knows if it was actually early? I saw that quote from him. I learned from Cody Rhodes how awesome lying can be.
Yeah.
Because he had said he'd be ready in October, I guess.
Well, it's Meltzer that said in the newsletter he'd be ready in October.
Right, yeah. But yeah, no, just a phenomenal match.
So
Match of the night, in my opinion.
So good. So darn good.
So after that is when Nigel McGuinness announced Hangman Page's charity, the Chicago Public Education Fund. You know, they had 10 additional minutes of the pay-per-view. They ended 10 minutes early. They could have brought Hangman Page out for this. He could have talked about being a teacher.
I know.
You know, cowboy teacher.
Maybe he'll talk about it on Dynamite because we're going to hear from Hangman Adam Page on Dynamite.
We're going to hear from Hangman Adam Page. What do you think he's going to say?
I don't know. Maybe, hopefully it's something to set up an interesting angle for him, a story.
He's going to declare for the Eliminator.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Probably.
So let's take a tangent here. Who's going to be this Eliminator tournament? So Page probably.
It's got to be big names, dude.
Joe?
How many people do you think's going to be in it?
Roderick Strong, 8.
8 sounds good. Joe's going to win it. Because he's got to be, after tonight, he's got to be the next MJF match.
You think so? I'd imagine. Well, here's the thing. This is a possibility. Yeah, probably Joe's going to win it.
It's too soon for Cole right now, man.
You'd think so. So if Cole's not going to be in it and not going to win it, then he'd probably want someone who's a lot of their offense is focused on the deck. What?
Jimmy Thomas says he's going to challenge CM Punk to a match. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's funny. No, if Cole's motive here is to really soften up MJF for their title match, I mean, Joe, so much of his offense goes after the neck.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's kind of the perfect opponent to tell the story, so it makes a lot of sense. It'd be funny if Roderick Strong did challenge MJF for the title.
We're gonna sort of keep an eye on Adam Cole in this Eliminator because how do you think he's gonna be in it? Or MJF is gonna be like, man, what the hell, dude?
I mean, his ears perked up. Adam Cole's did when he heard that there was an Eliminator tournament.
That's true. Yeah. We'll see. I feel like Roderick Strong will probably get choked out by Joe. Because Roderick Strong has the neck health issues, Joe's going to show MJF what he's going to do.
Joe's doing anyways.
Joe's going to show MJF what he's about to do to him.
Yeah.
And he's going to beat Roderick Strong.
Yeah, entirely possible.
And then move on and beat, I don't know who. But yeah, I mean, if you want to, Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, Hangman Page, Joe. So there's 4. That's half the field.
Yeah. Maybe they'll only do 4. Maybe they'll do, 2 semifinal matches in the final. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be. That's possible.
Yeah, I don't know.
After that, we had, I mean, it'd be nice for Hangman to get set up in another feud. Who can Hangman feud with right now? The thing is, their roster is all over the map.
I know.
There's no real divisions there. It's all just, Jay White could be in it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But I don't feel like Jay White's going to be taking a lot of L's.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Because Bang Bang Gang is heading in the right direction. Before we talk about Bang Bang Gang, let's talk about this tag match. We had Katsuyori Shibata and Eddie Kingston teaming up to take on Claudio in Wheeler Yuta. Fun match. That would have been a great Dynamite main event.
I'll be honest with you. Even that's a little far.
All right. Top of the second hour Dynamite match.
Yes, that's exactly. Or even to kick things off. This feels like a good Dynamite kickoff match.
Yeah, it would have been a good kickoff match. It would have been the main event if there was a title shot opportunity for Eddie on the line for the Ring of Honor title.
Honestly, this is a pay-per-view. This is all out. They should have done Claudio versus Eddie too for the Ring of Honor.
I know.
And the Strong title.
Yeah. Title versus title. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Blackpool Combat Club got the win here. The finish saw Shibata just more kind of into having Wheeler Yuta in a sleeper. And because of that, he was in a position to help Eddie after Claudio just annihilated him with an uppercut.
Yeah.
To pin him and get the win. This is a fun match, that back fist that Shibata hit Yuta with. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. No, it's fun stuff. But Eddie should be in the Eliminator.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. But then, people do have to take losses here, so.
Yeah.
I don't even mind that, though. People can take good losses, good protected losses.
Yeah, but I don't even feel like Jay White's taking protected losses in a singles match. Maybe in a tag match, but not a singles match. No.
Yeah. Nah.
He was at a 2 out of 3 falls match, him and Juice against FTR. Guess who ate all the pins there? Juice did.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Jay White ain't taking no pins.
Well, didn't you say they replaced Punk on the collision graphic with Jay White?
On one of them, yeah. Jay White front and center.
Oh, yeah. Bang, bang, gang.
Bang, bang, bang. Super over, man.
After that, we had, they're selling those little tiny Jay White card blade. Card blade. After that, we had Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita. Fucking phenomenal match. Just really awesome stuff. We saw a Volt screwdriver get involved here, but not to the degree you thought it would. It was sort of stabbed by Don Callis. He tried to stab Kenny in the brain and stabbed the mat instead. Ref took it away. But that alone, that sort of distraction right there, took Kenny from potentially hitting a one-winged angel on Takeshita to taking the loss here. Yeah. But man, hell of a match. Good to see Kenny putting over Konosuke Takeshita. Yeah. And kind of not necessarily going to say, it was kind of a surprising outcome, but not necessarily. I mean, they announced, the Justin Roberts in the intros announced Kenny has a 2-0 record against him in singles action. So it's like, okay, Kenny wants to make something out of this guy and have maybe a series of matches against him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in the end, it was just a bunch of knee strikes to Kenny that did it.
Yeah. At one point, Kenny's looking for like a super one-winged angel. Takeshita escapes that. Takeshita hits a super blue thunder bomb that was crazy.
Yeah.
Kenny early on got dropped right in his head again.
Oh God, that's yeah. Like
of course, given the competitors here, a bunch of knees, V triggers, and such. But yeah, mentioned the screwdriver bit, and then Takeshita drops the knee pad, hits another knee, and just Kenny sells it like nothing else. And Takeshita gets the win. Afterwards, Callis gets in the ring, raises Takeshita's hand. Kenny's one of the best sellers because at one point during this match, they mentioned because it was great. Kenny selling was fantastic because he had his eyes just barely open, and his breathing was really labored.
Yeah.
It's like him, Bret Hart, Kyle O'Reilly. I could probably think of some other names if I really put my mind to it. That when they're in a match, especially a really physical match, they look like they are absolutely beat to shit.
Roderick Strong might be my number one about that.
Yeah, Roddy's up there too.
That dude knows how to look like he's just been. Kyle O'Reilly's great too. Yeah, they look like they're gassed and beat to shit. You're right.
Yeah. Yep.
After that, we had a Bang Bang Gang versus FTR and the Young Bucks. The crowd really picked up for this one too. Because they were in it for the Kenny stuff, but when the Young Bucks came out there, this crowd was split. Yeah. Tons of people giving them lots of middle fingers. Tons of people saying, "Yo, yay, Young Bucks."
Yeah, clapping. Yes.
Dax looked kind of uncomfortable with everything because it's all revolving around his best friend CM Punk. Although at some point he's probably going to lose Dax's number because that's what CM Punk does.
Could be.
He's got a history. People have said that he's got a history.
Oh, he does have a history. This match was very much booked. It felt like a Collision main event.
Yeah,
it's given about roughly the same amount of time the Collision main event would have. And it definitely had that feel. Bang Bang Gang gets the win here after Jay White hits Cash Wheeler with a Blade Runner. And then it was one of the Guns, I think, that went to cover Cash to get the win. It was a fun match, but did it need to be on pay-per-view? I don't know.
No, it should have been a collision. You got it exactly right. It should have been a
collision main event. Yeah,
it was as long as a collision main event.
Yeah, it was. Because this is going to lead to, now that one of the Guns got the pin here, it's going to lead to the Guns challenging FTR for those tag titles. Because as mentioned, Jay and Juice already lost in their efforts to win the tag titles. So it's got to be the Guns again.
Yeah. By the way, want to point this out really quick. We have 738 people watching on the YouTube.
Whoa.
And we are trying to get to this magical, elusive 198,000 subscriber mark. Right now we're at 197,909. All we need are 91 friendos. So if you're new here, you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. The little notify bell next to us. You always get notified. We also have a second YouTube channel. It's called Friendo Club Wrestling. We do a bunch of short form stuff there, what they call the evergreen stuff. We do quizzes, reactions, this, that, the other. So be sure to check that out and sub to that channel as well.
Right now, sorry to interject here. Right now, we got our star ratings for Payback, the show that happened last night. If you want star ratings right after the show,
fresh,
there's only one place to go, and that's Friendo Club Wrestling.
Hey, are we doing star ratings for this tomorrow?
other star ratings, you gotta wait till Friday, not at Friendo Club Wrestling.
That was good. Are we gonna take 15 minutes
sure, why
to do
not?
it tomorrow? Yeah, I'm down to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, dude. So they're fresh.
Fresh.
You know, not.
If I wait
not,
till Friday, I'm gonna forget all this stuff.
Not 6-day old. Hey, listen, man. When you go to the donut shop, do you ask for donuts that are 6 days old, or do you want them fresh? Fresh. That's right.
You don't want donuts when they're 6 days old when the glaze is starting to melt off.
It's disgusting.
Actually, I kind of do. I like donuts when the glaze melts off a little bit.
Okay, well, you're just being countered now. You don't want, as you
But
said,
most people don't like that. I'm sure.
You don't want those stale
I'm an
donuts from
outlier.
those other guys.
From those other donut shops, you want fresh, hot, freshly glazed donuts.
Are we still talking about star ratings or what? Now I'm just hungry. I want some donuts.
I know, I am too.
Yeah.
I don't have any donuts, but I might have a bagel when we're done.
Oh, there you go. Get some carbs in you, man.
Yeah, I got my. I would do a workout tomorrow. We'll do our star ratings video.
Yeah, man. Perfect.
Maybe go to a barbecue.
Oh, good. I like it all.
Full day.
86 subs left to get to 198,000. That's exciting. Exciting.
So
stuff.
close. Maybe by the time we wake up tomorrow, we'll be there.
Man, be exciting. After the Bullet Club, did you talk about the what was the finish here? Did you talk?
No,
about
I
that
talked
already?
about it. Already. It's done.
Awesome. AEW International Championship is on the line. The main event. Last match we're talking about before. I didn't even put up a question thread, man.
That's fine. We'll hit an hour. We're good.
We're hitting an hour. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyways, Orange Cassidy versus Mox. The most of this match was simply Jon Moxley beating the living holy shit out of Orange Cassidy. Opened him up pretty early, and when I say opened him up, this dude was bleeding heavily. Mox didn't bleed in this match. He don't bleed anymore.
No, that's a rarity.
It is a rarity these days. Now it's like just hard way on accident.
It seems like you look at Mox, he'll start bleeding.
Right, yeah, but not now.
In a wrestling ring.
Orange Cassidy, though. Oh, my God. Lots of blood.
Gushing blood.
Yeah.
Just gushing blood. Yeah, Mox was beating the hell out of him. You know, and Orange would get little spurts of offense in, but Mox would always put an end to it. So eventually Mox is out on the floor with Orange. Mox starts peeling back the pads on the floor. So that's exposing the cement underneath. He's looking for a pile driver on Orange Cassidy on exposed cement. Orange blocks it, hits a beach break on cement. So then Orange then drop kicks Mox's head to the steel steps. He rolls back to break the count, or to start the ref count. Mox gets in just before 10. So then Orange hits a Orange punch, hits a second one, looks for a third, but Mox counters with a cutter. So then Orange hits another Orange punch out of nowhere, follows with a spear to get a 2. Orange gets back up. He lays into he about to do the hands in pockets thing. Instead, he hits a nasty kick to Mox. Mox responds with a huge lariat. Then another one after Orange Cassidy basically no-sells the first. Mox covers, gets a 2. Mox hits him with a Death Rider. Mm-hmm. Orange Cassidy kicks out. So Mox goes to the corner and takes aim. Orange Cassidy flips off Mox. Mox then hits another massive Death Rider to get the win and win the International Championship. You have Blackpool Combat Club come to the ring, celebrate with Mox. And they'll go up the ramp together. Then they get a good moment for Orange Cassidy, where he's laying in the ring selling, the match. And we give AEW a lot of static, a lot of criticism for production, missing spots, kind of misframed shots from time to time. So there was one shot they had Orange selling in the ring, and the foreground was his backpack, now empty. It
was really good, yeah.
Because of the promo he had on Dynamite, he was talking about how with every title defense, the backpack starts feeling a little bit heavier and heavier. The weight of being champion starting to bear down on him. Well, now that backpack is empty. There's no championship inside, no weight.
Yeah.
So now I would imagine Orange Cassidy is going to miss that weight. Strive for more championship gold. But the crowd gave him a great response as he makes his way to his feet. And they thank you, Orange chants. And he had defended that belt, 30-something times over the course of almost a year of having it.
Yeah, it was a really, really impressive run. I mean, Orange Cassidy, he's, there's a reason the dude's been in the business for 15 to 20 years or whatever, and has been able to remain fresh. I'm sorry, there's a reason he's been able to remain fresh because he's been around for so long. He understands the business. But just a really fun wrestler. Curious to see where they're going to go with him from here. But yeah, no, just really good stuff here.
Yeah.
Interested to see what direction they take Mox. What are his opponents going to look like? Is this going to look like his old AEW World Title run where he was fighting a lot? Are they going to line up sort of top level names like Jericho? Big names like that. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. And a lot of credit to Orange Cassidy. You put the international title on Mox with the idea that could be the 1B to the world title 1A. Without Orange Cassidy having the run he had with the international title, I don't know if that'd be possible.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It wouldn't have mattered. It'd be like Mox picking up the TNT title right now because Christian's doing really fun stuff with it. But before that, it was just trading hands. Didn't matter. Didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And I hope they let Christian continue, the Christian and Luchasaurus. What they're doing. Apparently Christian showed up at the media scrum and the first thing he did was ask everybody how their dads were doing. And then he was asked a question about Edge and he says, I don't have any friends. All I talk about is me and Luchasaurus. So good dodge there from
future going in Raw Hall of Famer.
We'll see. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We absolutely appreciate it. Thanks for the entire week, man. All in Payback. And today it's been a long week. Like I said, we're taking tomorrow off, but by all means, please continue to hit that sub button so we can get to 198,000.
Yeah,
thanks,
that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. Anyways, it's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you around.
Goodbye.